And before the pandemic, that mental health needs to be looked at as a national disaster, at least here in Kenya. How has this pandemic impacted on mental health in general?
I must say that COVID has just added the burden to the society. It was there before because there is very little focus on mental health. Our understanding of mental health is almost nil. We normally think or associate mental health with things like a curse. You commit suicide and it is as if you have committed a sin. Homicide is not even understood. Most of the people who are mentally ill, the way we treat them can suggest or can actually reveal how we understand mental health. So that one is very, very important, and the burden has been, the mental health burden has been worsened by COVID-19.
Absolutely. And I mean, we're talking about effects of COVID-19. I mean, there's economic effects on the family as well, isolation and quarantine measures. Last month, we reported of a young woman who killed her 4 children, then called her relatives to inform them where she had hidden the bodies. And in cases like that, then, how do we begin to deal with the mental issues and the emotional issues that we're coping with? I mean, when we meant to social distance and, not get into crowds.
Yeah, the main thing is that if we are aware of the causes of the causes of depression, especially which is the major cause of homicide or suicide. Suicide is anger turned inside. You feel you are helpless, hopeless, and therefore you have nowhere to go, and you have nothing but to kill yourself. This is the latest case of a woman even throwing her children and also jumping into the river. That was suicide plus homicide. The other one who killed her 4 children, that was pure homicide. What was the cause? This woman must have been depressed, and it must have been worsened by COVID-19 pandemic. She had nowhere. She didn't know where to go, how to solve the problem. Understand they were laid off. She was not going on duty. So this woman had nowhere to go. And then she thought, she felt helpless. See, the anger turned outside, maybe with the system or something else, and had nowhere but to kill her children. That is abnormal.
And like you say, many people have nowhere to go, but even those who live in, what others would consider supportive environments, those around their families may resort to homicide, or suicide as well. So where then do people go?
Where they go first in Kenya, if we had the community mental health, whereby if you feel you are disturbed. For example, if you have headache, we always go to the hospital for physical conditions. You have stomachache, you go to the hospital, the nearest health center, for attention. But who cares for your mental issues? A human being's mind, in fact, has a lot. And what we have, we experience anxieties every now and then. But if we repress them, obviously they are going to affect us, whether we like it or not. So these issues that keep on piling on our minds every now and then, they are the ones that actually make us to feel helpless, hopeless, or you are too angry with the outside world that you feel like committing homicide or committing suicide.
Right.
So if the mental health, there is community mental health, where when you feel you are burdened, you have somebody to release to. Remember this woman who was who threw the children at Nzoia? That evening, she went to the sister's house. Did the sister recognize even the symptoms that this her sister was going to kill herself and the children. It is because we don't understand the symptoms, the causes, and all the rest. And she took the situation very normal. So if we can create awareness of the symptoms and the causes of mental health, I think it can help us even during this burden of COVID pandemic.
All right. Last week we saw the task force on mental health chaired by Dr. Frank Njenga provide the report, submit the report to the Ministry of Health, where they're saying mental health issues are deeply rooted in society. It is high time it is given attention. But what attention do we need to, like you say, spread awareness on the grassroots level on matters mental health? Yes, it needs to be the root causes. We need to be aware of the root causes of the mental illnesses. When we hear of mental health, you think, that person is mad, the person has been bewitched, the person needs to be isolated. They are mistake. Even the Kenyan government, the Kenyan law, in terms of depression or in terms of suicide and homicide, when you attempt suicide, normally you are arrested, and you will be charged at the court of law for attempting to kill yourself. That is like adding an injury to another injury. This person is sick. Where should a sick person be taken? Should a sick person be taken to a court of law, or this person should be admitted in a hospital to manage the depression? But it's been a very controversial conversation. I mean, many times we've seen somebody who's clearly committed a crime, has been taken to a court of law, and they're vindicated of that crime because the court says they had mental issues or mental illnesses. How then do we begin to reconcile justice and health in terms of mental health? I think it is at the bottom, they don't understand at all that a mental health problem needs to be attended to. It should be given serious attention. You know, it starts small, like a simple stress. The anxiety grows and grows and grows and worsens until it is out of place. So you have nothing to do but to kill yourself or to kill somebody else. Right, Doctor, I mean, we don't have too much time. Even as we talk about, putting down, instruments to ensure that we can spread awareness as we wind up right now. Many people have so much going on, so many mental issues, so much pressure. What can we do now to manage stress and depression? To manage stress and depression, let us create awareness of the symptoms, especially by availability of counselors or psychologists. I don't know whether you know the difference between counselors and psychologists, but there should be availability of counselors at the at the community level. At present, you can only get a psychiatrist as a provincial hospital, and they are very few. You can count them. They are very few. How many patients do they attend to? So if there is a counselor who can listen to you, who is able to identify, they are able to assess the cause of your constant headache every now and then, I think people would be helped. They want people to listen to them so that they can actually be given the coping mechanisms. There is no way we can do without stress. Stress is normal. But how do you deal with your stress? They are killing themselves because they don't know how to deal with the stress. They don't know the coping mechanisms. And the coping mechanisms is what is provided by counselors and psychologists. Psychologists do the assessments, and they can actually tell the proper treatment depending on the level of the depression that somebody is experiencing. All right, Dr. But many times we live until it is out of hand. Many thanks for your time, Dr. Sheba. We would have loved to continue this conversation, albeit for time. Dr. Sheba Kumu is a clinical psychologist speaking to us about how to manage stress and depression in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the killing of George Floyd in the United States has inspired a name change on the island of